Once again, thank you so much for being here. It's our pleasure now to share with you Dane Peterson's new play, Primogeniture.
Primogeniture by Dane Peterson. If we do not grieve what we miss, we are not praising what we love. We are not praising the life we have been given in order to love. If we do not praise whom we miss, we are ourselves in some way dead. So grief and praise make us alive. Martine Pretchell, The Smell of Rain on Dust, Grief and Praise. Scene, circa 1977, December. A father and his son sit at a kitchen table. Daylight dims outside as a cold winter's night takes hold. In the normally bustling, lively, and often raucous Southern home, today there is a silence in the house, and between the two. Something has occurred, but what it isn't apparent. The father, holding and studying a physical photograph, puts it on the tabletop as he gets up to grab two long necks from the refrigerator. The son eyes the photograph but doesn't touch it. Pops returns to sit with the beers and a bottle opener. He pries the cap off his bottle of beer, leaving the other bottle capped. Pops takes a swig of beer and then...
Go ahead. Take a real good look at that photo. Yeah, take it. Pick it up with your hands. Hold it close to your face. Get a good look.
The son picks up the photo, handling it with great reverence, as if it were the Hope Diamond, sensing it has worth.
You know, a person like you, for example, you know, born after the turn of the millennium, they may not even recognize something like that, not even know what it is, because it's tangible. You see, piece of paper you can touch, not something you look at on a computer or a phone screen. A photograph is real. It's an analog capture of an actual moment from the past. No photoshopping going on there. Just an amateur, run-of-the-mill person playing photographer, snapping pictures, hoping, trying to snap a gentle scene at home to remember the good times.
He takes a drink, slides the unopened bottle closer to the sun.
You gonna open that? Or make me drink by myself?
Yeah, sure, Pops.
The son puts the photograph on the table and follows the direction to imbibe by struggling to pry the cap off the bottle. Pops watches his son take a sip, perhaps their first shared beer ever.
Now this just might blow your 2023 mind. That piece of paper started out as some silver, you know? The element on the periodic table, AG, started out as some silver, put into a roll of Kodak film, I'm guessing most likely 35 millimeter, nothing digital about that film.
Son's got something on his mind, and it's not Pop's photograph. Pops takes the photograph back, looking at it, trying to remember what the scene presents within. No luck.
Nope. Time has not been altogether kind to it, has it? Oh, sure. Somebody at some point decided to be smart to put it in a photo album, probably also something that a Gen Zer would know about. But damn, somebody thought to put it in an album, maybe a picture frame, maybe just in between the pages of a book, you know, for safekeeping years ago. A prized treasure of a simpler time, and even with all that concern to keep the memory emblazoned there on that film, to keep it like it was taken just yesterday. Time didn't get the memo. Time let it get all faded, making those earth tone colors of the 70s even more sepia than they were in real life. I mean, who the hell thought a rust orange shag carpet in a GD crapper was a good idea?
Giving the photo back to the son.
You ever wonder if folks, I mean average people, not those scientific whiz kids that can remember a book word for word just by picking it up on the shelf. I mean people like you and me. If we could really hang on to images of people of our past in our minds, or if we only remember what the photographs tell us to remember.
Looking deep into his son's eyes.
Now, you look at that picture. Look at it hard.
Son complies.
You probably think it's all hunky-dory in there, isn't it? But if you don't have a clue about the folks in there that are looking back at you, I mean, well, you might use your deductive reasoning and come up with a story, try to fill in some blanks, you know? Try to figure out what's going on in there. Go ahead, take a look in there, fill in some blanks, come up with a story. Tell me what you see.
Well, Pops, I see two people. One of them is young, maybe 2 or 3, I guess. Maybe he's the son, and the man is the father.
Looking at the child in the photo.
Boy's in the bathtub, reminds me of getting ready for bed. Looks happy. His face is bright, with a huge smile. His eyes are brown and full of energy. He's got a mop of reddish hair.
Shifting focus to look at the man.
The man, the father, I'm guessing, he's crouched down on the floor on his knees next to the tub. He's got on dress slacks with a sheen like a polyester and a short-sleeved dress shirt. He's got dark hair with mutton chop sideburns. His face is round, sort of puffy, flushed red. And he looks super proud and joyful. Like he's cherishing this moment so damn hard and never wants it to end. There's a love that's palpable. You can feel it looking at it. The radiating light, looks as if they're the only 2 people of any worth on the planet as the camera captures that millisecond of reality.
He looks to Pop. Perhaps, like in the photograph, he doesn't want this moment to end.
If I'd been old enough to remember that time, I think, well, that's what I would want. What I'd want to not just remember because of that photo, but to have that memory live in my heart, to keep it with me, in my soul as long as I got air to breathe. But the time, those days, wasn't exactly pristine, I guess, from what I know now.
Swigs his beer.
Yeah, I guess that photograph works just like our minds work, huh? Only shows one side of the situation, only the memories we want to see, the ones in focus, centered in the frame, and it hides away the ones too sad to remember.
Scene, Session 1, January. We are in the small, dimly lit room. There is a white noise sound machine diffusing the air. Through the window blinds outside, heavy rain can be seen falling. 2 chairs face each other with a small table between them. Son sits in one, Doc in the other. The atmosphere is comfortable but sterile, not like home.
He's talking. For the first time in my life, he's talking to me. And I don't know what to do with that. I mean, it's me who wants to talk right now, but he's talking. The quiet monolith is cracked after all these years.
You're poetic today. God.
emotions were raw. It had been a long day. We were alone in the house, and it felt right. You know? It was time. So finally, after holding it in for so long, I'm ready to talk. I'm feeling comfortable enough with myself to be able to talk to him and let him in my life. And out of nowhere, he wants to talk. Fuck. That's not the way it was supposed to be. I mean, that's not how I planned it, not how I imagined it.
And that makes you angry.
Yeah, it does. Or it doesn't. I don't know what it makes me, okay? I don't know. He's opening up his heart to me, this man who's never said a meaningful word in his life, and now all this stuff just flowing out of him. I don't know where it's coming from. It's like he's living in the past all of a sudden, and here I am trying to live in the present and thinking about the future, my future, trying to make a life for myself, wanting to share my life with my pops, and he's living in the past, in an idea of the past, fixated on some photograph and the people that are in it, fixated on some false memory of what was going on in that photograph and what was actually going on in that photograph and what was never happening in that photograph.
Scene, Plasticville, USA, February. Pops and son are sitting on the front porch steps. They've just finished some sort of work on the house, on the car, or perhaps in the yard, and are cleaning their hands with shop towels. Pops has been rather rattled all day. That energy remains present in his demeanor. He is clearly in need of saying something, as he starts and stops himself several times before deciding to speak. Son is acutely aware, finding some humor in the situation.
You ever seen that box up under the stairs in the basement?
Yeah, but when I asked you about it, you told me it was none of your damn business.
Suppose I did. I guess sometimes it's easier to hide things away deep down in the dark basement than talk about them. You know? Because talking about them makes you think, makes you wonder about all the things that might have been, the things that weren't, things you long for didn't even happen.
So why are you bringing it up now?
Well, because I guess it's been on my mind. I guess I'd like you to know what's in there in those boxes.
Okay. Pops, if this is something you really want to do.
The items in there, carefully and reverently packed away for decades now, not unlike the mausoleum. Those boxes make up a sort of representation of an American dream, maybe more specifically the dreams of my dad, his dad, your grandfather, and great-grandfather. The dream that lived in the form of O-gauge Y&L trains, not just the locomotives and boxcars and passenger Pullmans and cabooses, coal tenders and free rail track and transformers, but the whole damn idealistic town, Plasticville, USA.
I never knew. How long have you been keeping all those boxes packed away?
Too fucking long.
Huh.
Oh, that's for sure. Maybe since I was 10, I don't recall the exact moment they became mine. A moment of transference. I do remember that when I did get them, I knew I had something special. Something to hold on to forever. Till I didn't. Till I didn't think that so much anymore.
What happened?
You're getting ahead of my thoughts. You're always rushing me. So let's not play act like this is one of those press conferences outside the Mar-a-Lago, all right? We got time. I don't want to rush our time. So save your questions till the end when I open the floor. You see, these trains were not toy trains. They were not for everyday kind of enjoyment. They weren't meant to be a hobby or something that a father and son did together, something to connect, a means of showing love and sharing wisdom. No, these trays served another purpose. They tightly held some sense of fear and majesty, power, I guess. Only making an appearance late at night each Christmas Eve in the 40s and 50s, setting up the whole goddamn town around the tree so it'll be there the next morning as if by magic. Maybe it was Santa magic, maybe little baby Jesus magic, who the fuck knows? Post-war, baby boom kind of shit mentality, the old man working so hard to perfect his American dream that the illusion became too much to handle, it was unobtainable. Nobody told him that part of the story. Oh, that crap can mess with a person. It can mess with the DNA to come. I don't know what my northern grandfather was an altogether nice man, at least not when it came to his son. I've seen pictures of him. He looked stern, all business. Well, I never got to meet the man. Died of a heart attack on a golf course long before I was even thought about. Wondered what he would think of me if we somehow met in the here and now. Well, I've got ideas. He must have been good to his daughters, his two children of the family. To them, that man could do no wrong. He doted on them like they were his royal princesses, but from what I could tell, he was a real asshole to his one and only son. Pulling shit like buying up all these Lionel trains only to bring them out once a year for a magical Christmas morning and then pack them up in the original boxes and hide them away for the next 364 years. That's some sadistic bullshit if you ask me. I mean, he was so concerned with appearances and his strict disciplinary crap that he left my dad in the dust to suffer and languish on the inside. I suspect my dad must have been sort of like that dust that collects on mirrors, you know? Developing a kind of film that lets you see just enough to check yourself. Creating a filter so you can't get a fully clear image of the real situation and all perfect on the outside, wasted away on the inside. Dad couldn't ever seem to live up to the high standards that were in place long before he was born. The poor man never had a chance, never could make his father happy, always searching for the how, but never winning.
So how did you end up getting the trains and plastic bill? I mean, your dad, my granddad, whatever I would have called him, had been dead almost a decade by the time they were yours.
Funny you should say that. Well, I've never known what to call him either. Sometimes I refer to him as my dad, other times as simply my father, and in certain situations I just call him by his first name. Never really had a use for the social skills training on that topic. I don't even remember what he sounded like. His voice when he talked.
The train is popped.
Oh, all right. Must have been somewhere around 1983. A campaign was begun to get the trains out of my grandmother's basement in Cincinnati down to me in Birmingham, and somehow over the ensuing years, how's that? How about that for a $50 SAT word? Well, Granny's sentimentality weekend, she let go her hold over them, but instead of the boxes being loaded on a CSX Chessie freight train, which would have been appropriate, and sent down south, they were loaded on the back of an uncle's Plymouth. Maybe it was a Dodge, blue hatchback Duster, or Horizon. Oh, that probably didn't have any seatbelts. Made their way down I-65 one hot summer's day. These things hadn't been touched in years, original boxes and all. They had a smell about them, you know, a mixture of that smell of electricity, motor oil and musty cardboard. Oh, I was in heaven. And at the age of maybe 10, 11, I had an entire room in my house devoted to my trains, my father's trades. My mechanical mind was in overdrive, configuring the tracks and replacing the lamps that illuminated the headlights and the engines, popping little smoke tablets in the steam engine stack, walking up the motorized crossing gates and pumping oil derricks and deciding where the residents of Plasticville would shop and live. A couple years later, we had to unexpectedly move, and the new place didn't have room for the trains. I packed them up, and away they went into storage under the stairs in the dark basement of my other grandparents' house. And that was almost 35 years ago. Right, isn't it? From under the stairs of a house in Cincinnati to under the stairs of a house in Birmingham. Once I got out of college, I bought a place of my own. Their location changed again, but the view remained the same, hidden under my basement stairs.
So, I guess they continue to be some lost representation of a post-war American dream.
People are curious about their things and the memories attached to those inanimate objects that we hoard and pass down. Maybe thinking they'll provide some sort of tangible reminder of those that lived in the past, for those that might come in the future. What do I know? However, what I do know is those trains have a recurring history, almost a habit, maybe a rut. They carry with them, representing on the outside the wholesome American spirit experience of our cherished Hallmark cards and Rockwell paintings tell us to be true, that father and son bonding, laughing, just spending time working on the model railroad, when in fact, lots of time, it was all for show, superficial, nothing of substance. My father and I had similar experiences with those trains. The absence of a father.
You ever want to open those boxes again? See what is real about them instead of the memory?
Over the years, I came to both treasure and resent those machines. In that juxtaposition, I decided to leave them hidden away. They gave me great joy in my childhood, and then as an adult, they gave me great pain, being the only inheritance my grandmother left me. Symbol of being disowned after years of misplaced anger and sadness. Well, maybe one day we'll set them up, see if they do anything.
Pops, you playing trains?
Scene, Session 2, March. We are back in the small, dimly lit room with the white noise sound machine diffusing the air. Afternoon sunlight seeps through the wood blinds. Two chairs face each other with a small table between. Son sits in one, Doc in the other.
It's like somehow he all of a sudden reverted back to his childhood or some sort of lost childhood. Does that make sense? I mean, he was talking about some trains, model trains, toy trains, Lionel trains. And it turns out that these things have held some bane of both joy and grief, all wrapped into one. And for the first time, he's sharing that with me. He's kept it all boxed up, compartmentalized, I think you people like to call it. And for some reason, he's now unpacking it. And he's just putting it all out there for me to see. It's like these antique toy trains represent a time of artifice in his life, of what wasn't. And on the other hand, it's like they represent a time of artifice in our relationship, too. I mean, fuck. I never knew about the damn things until now, and yet he he's remembering them with some fondness and acting as if I should have the same fondness around them when I didn't even know the things existed.
I'm hearing a longing for a relationship. Is that right?
Yeah, I guess.
Perhaps for you, a relationship with your father around what are now antique trains, while he's longing for a relationship with his father around what were then new trains.
I mean, as a kid, you want to idolize your father. And you want him to idolize you. He couldn't allow us that relationship, though. He was always so closed off. Always hiding things in the back of his mind. Never let me in, not once. Until now. Now we're almost beyond repair.
Doc writes a note.
I didn't mean to say it like that. Not really. I don't think I did. It's just what came out.
You're self-edited. It's okay to express those feelings here. I'm not judging you, I'm just listening to you.
You say that a lot.
But maybe you need to hear it a lot. Maybe you need to be reminded it's okay to have some anger, some regret, that it's okay to grieve what's lost.
It's just, as he's talking about missed opportunities and an absence of a relationship with his father, my eyes are open to the fact that he's been closed off to me just the same. He's held his cards so close to the chest and afraid to play any of them. Not one card, and I, therefore, have been afraid to play cards for my stack. Not knowing if it'd be received well, or if I chose the right card to play. The desire to satisfy both my needs and his needs at the same time, and well, it's kind of fucked up. To be so on the outside and to be so aware of my pop's needs to make his dead father happy, but that I can't seem to make him happy. He shut it down all these years, and now it's like he's trying to make up for some lost time, like he's learned from the mistakes and the torment. But I'm not sure he's really ready, or fuck if I'm ready, for me to offer up my truth, and I'm not sure how he'll receive it.
I'm hearing a lot of anxiety. Some fears of having shared a sense of false reality or identity, of knowing the person your grandfather projected to be, the person your father is projected to be, and the person you're trying to be. And potentially some trauma along the way that's clouded your sense of who you really are, maybe clouded your openness to accepting the person you really are.
Yeah. Thanks. It's hard to navigate. Fucking hard.
Scene, the heirloom, April. On the water's edge, Pops and Son are fishing. This is Pops' happy place, and his demeanor reflects as such. He is different today. He seems more alive and open. Pops casts his line and sets his fishing rod in a contraption he's devised to hold it in place, freeing his hands. He sits in a folding camp chair. Son remains standing, casting his line out and in several times until he feels satisfied. The father has his gaze on his hands, in particular a ring on his right index finger. He looks at Son and nudges him.
You ain't about to catch anything casting like that. Pull your line back in. I want to correct the bait situation you got going on there.
Son reels his line back in and hands the rod over to Pops. As Pops takes off the store-bought fly and replaces it one of his own making.
You know, I've never been much of a ring person.
Giving the newly baited rod back to Son.
Never really wore my wedding band. Oh, to get your mother fired up to this day. I always wore this one here out of habit, I guess. do me a favor. I'm gonna take this ring off my finger here. I want you to put it on your finger. Just to try it on.
Son casts his newly baited line.
Sure, I guess. I mean, I don't see why not.
Pops works to take the ring off his finger, twisting it back and forth over his knuckle, leaving the shape of the ring indented in his skin. He looks at the ring held tight between his left index finger and thumb and his now empty right index finger. He hasn't taken it off in years.
Pops, I was sort of hoping to talk to you about something today, something personal.
Pop stands. Locking eyes with his son, he holds the ring out to him. It has the sense of passing a weight. Son takes the cue and pulls his line in, placing the rod on the ground.
Now, I just want you to slide this ring on your finger there, and you just sort of look at it for a spell. You know, just wear it. Sit with it here, see what you feel, what it feels like to wear it. Maybe there's something that feels good about it. Maybe you don't feel so good.
As he hands the ring over, the two are connected physically by the ring. Pops leaves the ring with Son.
I'll be damned. My hand hadn't felt this naked in years.
Son waits for a moment, not entirely sure what is happening. He looks at the ring. He's seen it before, but never with such intimacy.
All right, then. Well, it's a gold ring, obviously. It's not new, but also not that old. It has a stone, sort of like a mood ring, but it's different. Not a cheap gumball machine prize. Color's not quite sky blue, not quite a Wedgwood blue, sort of in between, I guess. And stone, well, it looks solid from the side. But then you turn it some and it has cracks, lines beneath the surface that appear in the light.
Son begins to hand the ring back to Pops.
You're gonna put it on or just size it up like they do down at the pawn shop?
Son slides the ring on his right index finger.
So,
First off, I can say that the ring isn't exactly tight on my finger. In fact, it's a little loose. Whoever wore this first, I mean, I'm guessing it wasn't you by the looks of it. Their fingers were a little bit bigger than mine. Not by much, though. I'm feeling that it's a little cumbersome. I mean, it's kind of clunky on my finger. It's not like a slim wedding band, you know. It's got some size to it, but it doesn't have a lot of heaviness, you know. It's kind of comfortable. Not like what I'd expect one of those national championship rings might feel like. Something that might hold you down. It's not something that makes your hand heavy, you know.
Looks to Pops, who just looks back. With a focus back to the ring, there is a moment of real discovery.
I gotta tell you, I'm feeling some ambivalence about it, to be honest. I mean, it's obviously not new, so somebody wore it at some point for the very first time, when it was new. I mean, it was somebody's ring at one time, you know? I'm wearing somebody else's ring right now, but whose? The hidden history of a relic. I don't know if I feel good or bad about it, if it's comfortable or uncomfortable. I just feel like it might be sharing some sort of energy with me, but I'm not quite sure what that energy wants to say or how I should receive it. It's almost got a vibrancy to it, even though I don't know a lot about it.
why don't you just take it off, get a better look?
Fine.
Son carefully inspects it, as if he were an insurance appraiser.
So I've taken it off,
Look to Pops playing the dutiful son.
and I'm taking a look at it. The bottom of it's a little misshaped, like it was banged on the floor or something. I'm not sure if it's because it's a soft metal or if something happened to give it that irregular shape at the bottom. There's some small scratches here, but I'm not sure what the scratches mean or how they got there. what kind of stories they hold. These scratches, they have secrets. And nobody knows nothing. They don't know what they are, except for the scratches. They know, but they ain't talking. I mean, even if I'd had this ring my whole life, and those scratches happened while on my watch, I mean, what I can tell you is that I wouldn't know how each and every single one of them got there, even if I was even aware when it happened. The scratches almost represent sections of a person's life, you know, like things happen over time. Things happened to this ring. I'm wondering about all those some things that happen, all those things inside and all the things on the outside that it has no control over that cause the scratches. I see this 14 karat, that's telling 58% pure.
Putting the ring on his right middle finger, exploring how it feels there.
Yeah, this just doesn't feel right on this finger.
Moving it to other fingers, exploring each. He decides to try his left hand, starting with the left index finger.
This feels all right.
Moving it along to his other left fingers, ending at his ring finger.
Something,
He looks deeply at it on his ring finger and feels all that society places on that symbol of marriage. He takes it off, puts it back on his right index finger.
no, for some reason the right hand, right here on this finger, that's where it feels most home. I don't know if it's because of the person. I mean, I don't know, maybe the ring. I mean, or maybe. Are rings specifically made for right fingers or left fingers? You know, I mean, are they specifically made for the right hand or the left? Or are they made for a specific finger or for whatever finger fits? Things they don't teach you in college. I guess however you size it is how you wear it. Up to the person, right? It'd be interesting to know if the ring was worn on the right hand or the left hand of the person who first wore it. I wonder if they were right-handed or left.
Taking it off again.
It'd be something to ask that person some questions, you know, like, where do you get it? Why did you like it? Was it a treasured possession of yours? Did you wear it all the time or just for a special occasion? Yeah. I don't know. I can look into the side of it and almost see myself looking back at me like a gold funhouse mirror distorting reality. Almost can make out a me, but not quite. But I'm just feeling some ambivalence. I don't know. I can't let go of that first person and wonder which hand and which finger he wore it on and why. It's like the ring is whispering things to me, but it is so faint I can't find the words. And then all these questions come about the person who bought it years ago, and that makes me wonder why they bought it. What about them made them like this ring? What did they feel putting it on for the first time? What did they see looking into that blue stone? I wonder where they bought it and when, and if it was important to them, why'd they give it up? Did they give it up, or did it give up on him? Yeah, I'm feeling some weird energy when I see it. You know? Makes me almost feel like the first person who owned this ring is here somehow. I look into the side of the ring here, into the gold, worn down shine, and now I'm making out a different face. Not mine. A familiar face on the side of it looking back at me. There's some suffering in there, in that face. That's what I feel wearing it. Here.
No.
Begins to hand the ring back to Pops.
No, you can't. Truth be told, I don't have a lot of answers to your questions. I don't really know much about it other than a few basic facts.
He casts his line into the water, a place where he can find peace.
I know it was my father's. I know that I got it handed down to me maybe 20 years ago, almost like it had been shut away in a safety deposit box all those years between when you died and when I got it.
A tug on the line.
Almost got a bite there. I feel what his fingers must have felt like when I slipped it on my knuckle, I wear it on my finger. I don't know how he got it, or when he got it, where he got it, why he got it, how much he paid for it, or if it's worth anything now, in terms of monetary. What it's worth, it's real worth, and what it holds is the connection I lost, the connection we lost, that connection between father and son. Giving a son a glimpse of the physicality of his father, the man that he never really knew, he didn't have any memory of other than some photographs. At least I have some sort of connection to the man through that piece of metal and stone. And instead of secreted away in a safety deposit vault at the guts of some highfalutin bank building, well, I can wear it. You can wear it. Like he must have worn it. Yeah, I know he had some demons. Lots of them. He loved me. And I can feel it in that ring. And when you wear it, you can feel it too.
Scene, Session 3, May. We are back in the small, dimly lit room with the white noise sound machine diffusing the air. This time, bright morning light is no match for the wood blinds. 2 chairs face each other with a small table between them. Son sits in one, Doc in the other.
He gave me a ring.
Okay.
No, you're not listening. He gave me his ring. This ring.
Showing his hand to Doc.
The ring that once belonged to my grandfather. It's like he's getting ready to die or something, and he's giving all his shit away.
And this behavior upsets you? Why?
What?
You're feeling something. What?
It's the same thing he asked. What did I feel? I felt scared. I felt uneasy, out of control. We were fishing. I hate fishing. And he starts in on this ring, and to him, for whatever reason, at that moment, it was important. I can't shake that. Lately, every time we're together, it's like listening in on a confessional session or something. Some screen between us. Mostly one-sided conversation. Hell, that was the most he let me talk in months. Do you have any idea what that's like?
I think I can imagine.
So there we are, he in his happy place, me utterly miserable. And now I'm expected to talk. The invitation, more like a directive, comes with a condition. I can only talk about this ring and nothing else. I want to be able to talk to him without his rules, you know? I want to be able to tell him about this guy that I've been seeing and that we're getting serious and that I think I'm in love for the first time. But Pops, he's not giving me any air to breathe.
Maybe you need to make air. Listen to the cues. Let the moment be the guide. Your pop seems like he's willing to receive, but, and here's the rub. Only when you're ready to give.
Son looks at the ring on his finger.
I'm going to use this ring at my wedding.
Scene, suffixes, June. As with most Southern homes, the back deck serves as an appendage to the family room or kitchen for those times when the AC just can't keep up with the heat and folks retreat outside to sit with a ubiquitous, oscillating fan. Pops has escaped the stale, hot inside air for his cushioned glider. Another chair is nearby, but is not nearly the Cadillac model like Pop's. It's a Father's Day.
Want anything from the refrigerator? Something to cool you off?
I don't know. Maybe one of your fancy bottled water drinks.
It's awfully hot today. especially for this time of year. Are you sure you don't want something a little stronger? Sort of been a hard day.
Nope, water will do.
All right, Pops.
We hear the sound of an aluminum can prying open, followed by a bottle cap flying. The son enters the deck from a screen door, joining Pops.
I know you think I'm a little pretentious having a canned seltzer water with some sort of fake taste in it.
Handing Pops a can.
They call it essence with flavor.
Son settles sitting next to Pops, taking a sip of the beer he brought for himself. Pops watches with a knowing and fatherly gaze. Something is on Pops' mind. In fact, a lot has been on his mind lately. He looks at his son,
You ever heard of something called hepatic failure?
takes a sip of water.
That's one of the reasons I don't drink too much these days. Hepatic failure.
Son adjusts his posture, feeling a sermon is about to erupt.
Now don't get me wrong. I used to like my beer, my dark liquors in the winter, clear ones in the summer. You know, after a while you just sort of figure you either gotta get into it or get out of it. You gotta make a decision if you want to continue on down the road of pissing people off, pissing yourself off, being unhappy all the time, bathing in alcohol, or you can decide to give it up, save yourself some money, save you some hepatic failure.
Takes a sip of water.
I'm not sure where you're going with this, Pops. I've seen you drink before. Heck, you were raised Catholic. Not like you're some Southern Baptist teetotaler type.
May 30th, 1978, estimated about 2:30 p.m., pronounced at 4:38 p.m., that was a Tuesday.
Takes a sip of water.
You gotta be pretty fucked up to be drinking so damn hard that you're at home on a Tuesday afternoon and you end up dead on your bathroom floor. But that's apparently what happened when it finally happened, according to the death certificate at least.
You okay, Pops? You don't seem like yourself today. You haven't seemed like yourself for a while now.
Sometimes people do things that piss you off. Now, they may do it on purpose. They may not even know they're doing it. Hell, I may not even know when I piss you off. But that does not negate the fact that somebody is going to get pissed off somewhere because of something you did. And I want you to know that, well, I've been really pissed off lately. It's not at you. Because of somebody I don't even know. Somebody I never got the chance to know. And that's why I'm pissed. Pissed because I missed so much, so many opportunities, so many rites of passage that other sons have. I never got to learn how to shave with him. I never got to learn how to cut the grass from him. He never taught me how to perfect a Windsor knot. Never heard me sing "Oh, Holy Night" on Christmas Eve. Never got to meet you.
Takes a sip of water.
Pops, you sure you want to talk about this?
Yeah.
Pop stands, exits through the screen door to the kitchen, leaving Son alone. The air is heavy. We hear the refrigerator open and some clanking of bottles from within. Calling out to Son.
Need anything?
No. I'm good.
Pouring his beer, letting it seep away through the deck boards into the ground below. The sound of the refrigerator closes as a bottle cap is released.
Found some papers the other day. Was trying to find a damn passport.
Enters from the screen door with a beer in hand.
You know, I never had a passport. Never been out of the country except to Canada. Now, I'm not sure that even counts. That was way back before all the 9/11 stuff happened, so they didn't take border crossings quite as serious. You were able to get through with just a birth certificate or a government ID, that kind of situation. And I got to thinking one of these days I might like to go to Europe, someplace like that. In my deepest soul secret, I'd really like to head way up there and see the northern lights one of these days. experience the mystery and the magic, all that stuff way up there, maybe see what all that stuff's trying to tell us, how it's trying to help us figure things out. If we'd only listen to it.
I think that'd be real nice, Pops. Maybe one day we could do that together, you know, just decide to take off and go and see what those lights are saying. Some Jack Kerouac kind of shit. Maybe they'll fill in some blanks that circumstances sort of seem to hold you back, you know? Some of those things that need answering, and maybe the only place to find those answers might be looking at those lights.
Taking a swig of beer, Pops moves to sit again in his glider. After a beat, as if needing some sort of absolution.
There's some kind of inconsistencies going on here. Legalities. Ain't that typical bureaucratic bullshit? You expect that the courts will get things right, you know? Well, I'm talking about accuracy. So I was looking through all these yellow papers, you know, for my passport application to prove I really am who I say I am. And I found some photographs of some certificates that relate to me, some brutal probate court documents and crap. So, relate to you. And in these papers, there are discrepancies. I've noted discrepancies about a name. You see, in some of these papers, like for example, the discharge papers that list my father's name after he had served in the Coast Guard, where they list him as being a junior, as if his father, my grandfather, your great-grandfather, is senior, right? Therefore, he must be a junior. But then you go over to the marriage certificate that lists him and my mom, your grandma, and I'll be damned if that certificate's got listed 3 capital I's behind his name, meaning he was the third. You follow? So, which one's right? Was he a junior or was he a third?
Does it really matter, Pops? I mean, I guess it's kind of important in some archaic hierarchy ritual, but that was a long time ago, and I'm not even sure if it really makes any difference now. I mean, I don't know if it affects anything, or makes anything change, or makes you or me somehow not who we thought we were or are.
And then you go over to the copy of his death certificate. And on that piece of paper, it doesn't list any type of suffix on it at all. Just his first name, his middle initial, and his last name. All senior or junior or third, all of that lineage kind of shit that we're told to value and put behind our names, well, that's all washed away. It's all cleared up. Made nice and tidy without any recognition that that person might have been somebody's son or that person might have been somebody's father, like those kind of markers do in polite society. All of that seemed important on the whole document is that the big old numbers at the top, a registration number 3101. Maybe behind my name, it should be 3102.
I guess that makes me 3103. I know it hurts. I know you have so many unanswered questions. Pops, we get to sit here and talk and laugh and cry and share. And I'm really thankful for that. And I'm really sorry you didn't get to do that with your pops.
I just like to know. To hear from him in his voice. That it wasn't me. His drinking wasn't my fault. I know. Don't get me wrong. I know that. I know it wasn't my fault. I know he had a horrible disease take control of him, take complete control of him so much at one, he couldn't handle it, the pressure, never being able to live up to his father's strict and unattainable ideals. Failed case of American primogeniture. It's sort of a slow progression of getting lost and trying to fulfill a sense of happiness and losing himself in the alcohol, unable to keep up with the demands of a fictitious world. You know what the damnedest thing is? I miss somebody I don't even know. Every damn holiday, every firsts, every birthday. Missing somebody I don't even remember. And I just keep looking for him. Every now and then I think I see him when I glance in the mirror at myself, when I look into your eyes.
Thanks, Pop.
For what?
For this.
Pops pours out his beer, which he has hardly touched. Both watch it disappear through the deck boards to seep into the ground.
Look there. In that tree, Cardinal just showed up, stopping by to check in, say hello, let us know he's still watching.
As lights slowly dim on the scene, creating a silhouette effect,
Pops, I'd like to tell you about somebody I've been seeing.
end of play.